Hello, ninth graders. Welcome to Ardrey Kell. I'm Christy Lynn Ramos. I'm one of the counselors here. And today we are doing High School 101. This is going to be information from the counseling team here at Ardrey Kell for you ninth graders here to learn more about the school and resources that we can provide to you. So the first thing before we get started, I need everyone to pull out their computer and go to this website, bit.ly/AK lesson 9 and take the pretest. This is only 6 questions that just gets an idea of what you already know about high school and about counseling services. So if the homeroom teacher will just pause at this point so that students can take the pretest. Okay, now that you have taken the pretest, let's get into it. What we're going to learn today is we're going to talk about how grades correlate to your GPA, resources that you can use to be a successful high schooler, and we're going to talk about some extracurricular opportunities for you here at Ardrey Kell. This is the AK counseling team. We have 8 counselors here. We also have a lot of other support staff. We have a therapist, we have social workers, we have a career development coordinator who works with all of our dual enrollment classes, but we also have 8 counselors who are here to support you with whatever you need. We are assigned by last name. If you need to contact your counselor, you can drop in before or after school, during homeroom, during lunch. These are all great times to contact your counselor. It's also a great idea to send us an email as well if you have a quick question. Down there, you can see by email, I put the link to our student services website. You can go to bit.ly/AK student services. And this is our site where we put all the information you might need. We have a page for every single grade level. We have announcements on our main page. We have links to test prep, volunteer information, anything you could need that has something to do with student services is going to be on our website. So you can always just Google Ardrey Kell Student Services and it'll take you right to our site. So please bookmark this so that you can come back to it again later in case you ever need it. This is also where you can find our email addresses. So if you ever need to email your counselor, this is a great place to find it. Counselors are here in the building to help students with academic planning and graduation status. So we're always going to be monitoring what classes you're taking, the grades that you're making, and your progress towards graduation. We're going to help you with college and career exploration. So we're going to meet with you when you're a junior and a senior to talk about your plans for after high school and how to get there. And then, of course, the obvious stuff, the social emotional help. If you have trouble with a friend, a teacher, family, anything like that, we are here to support you as well. Okay, so let's get into some of the academic pieces of what we do. You are going to take classes every single year here at Ardrey Kell. You'll take 8 per year. When you pass a class, you earn 1 credit. Every single class, whether you take it across the whole year or just for 1 semester, you're going to earn 1 credit for that class. Your high school diploma is earned by passing 24 classes and earning 24 credits. This is a chart that shows all of the classes that you need to pass in order to graduate. Some of these you may have taken in middle school. That's okay. That does count. But you can see the English, the math, the science, the social studies. Everybody has to take PE and then 8 electives. Electives are anything that's not English, math, science, or social studies. So pretty much anything you're doing outside of those classes is considered an elective class, and you need 8 of those as well. So you need 24 total classes to graduate, and within those 24 have to be at least these classes listed here. What a counselor's job is every year for registration, we will meet with you to discuss the classes that you have selected for the following year, and we'll make sure that you're right on track to graduate on time. So you don't need to worry too much about making a 4-year plan because this is something we're going to help you with one-on-one every single year. But mostly what we want you to know is that if you pass a class with a 60% or higher, you have earned a credit in that class. If you have a 59% or less, you have not earned a credit, and you're either going to need to retake that class or you may have to take it in summer school. So again, if you get a final grade of 60% or higher, you have passed the class and you earned a credit. If your grade is 59% or less, you will have to either retake the class or take it in summer school, depending what the options are. And your counselor would review that with you if it's pertinent to you. Every year, you need a certain number of credits. You need to pass a certain number of classes to make it to the next grade level. So this year, you need to pass 6 out of your 8 classes by June to make it to be a 10th grader. So you need to pass 6 out of your 8 classes to get moved on to 10th grade next year. From 10th to 11th grade, you need to pass 12 classes. And at that point, you'll need to have passed Math 1, English 1, and English 2. And then from 11th to 12th grade, you need to pass 18 classes. And then to graduate, you need to pass 24. But for you this year, the most important thing is you need to pass 6 out of your 8 classes in order to move on to 10th grade. GPA comes up a lot for students, and it's new for you. In middle school, you did not have a GPA. High school is when you first get a GPA. You do not have one yet because it only takes into account your final grade. So in middle school, you got report cards that gave you your quarter grades, your progress report grades. Now, what's going to happen is you're only going to get one final grade. Everything you're doing is adding up to your final grade in a class. Based on that final grade is what your GPA will come out to be. So you can see here, there's a chart. There's a lot of, pieces to this chart, so we'll walk through it together. On the left, you can see the final grade. A, B, C, or D with the numbers associated with that grade. The GPA points associated with that. So basically every final grade that you get a point value assigned to it to represent that grade. So if you make a 95 in a class, let's say in PE, you get 4 points towards your GPA. GPA stands for grade point average. So it is an average of the points that you receive for your final grades. So again, let's say you make an A in PE, you get 4 GPA points. That gets averaged together with all the other GPA points you have and you've earned, and that is how your GPA is calculated. It adds on every single semester. So anything you're doing in 9th grade is still going to count and get calculated all the way down to senior year. So what you're doing this year in 9th grade, the final grades that you are earning, they will still count in your GPA later. So it is very important to start taking high school seriously now so that when you're in 11th and 12th grade, you don't look back on 9th grade and say, man, I wish I had known this would count. It does count. Unlike middle school, everything counts now. Okay, let's say you're in an honors class. If you're in an honors class, you get more GPA points based on your grade. So let's say you're in honors earth science, for example. If you get a 95 in honors earth science, you'll get 4.5 GPA points. If you were to make a B in honors earth science, you would get 3.5 points. So you see how having a higher point value might help the average of your GPA. If you're in any AP classes now or later, that also impacts your GPA in a good way, depending on your grade. So let's say you're in AP psychology and you make a B, you would get 4 GPA points, as opposed to if it was a standard level class, you would only get 3 GPA points. Now, just being present in these classes is not enough to earn the GPA points. You have to earn the grade associated with it as well. So take this into consideration when you're making your class schedule for next year, but this is how your GPA is calculated. Again, GPA stands for grade point average. You're getting a representative point value for every single final grade. So how do we calculate it? You add all of your grade points, divide it by the number of classes because we're making an average, and that gives you your GPA. Let's look at an example. Let's say this is your first semester schedule. You get a B, an A, a C, and an A. How many GPA points do you get? For a standard class, when you have a B, you get 3 points. That's English 1. For a standard PE class and you get an A, you get 4 points. Honors classes give you an extra half point depending on what the final grade is. So let's say you have a C in your honors class, you get 2.5 points. Honors drafting, you have an A, that gives you 4.5 points. So every single grade gives you a different point value depending on what the class is. So what you do is you add up all those points together. For in this case, it'd be 14 points. You would divide it by the four because you were in 4 classes, we're making an average. That means you have a 3.5 GPA. Kids ask all the time, is that good Well, that's up to you. That's up to every single student individually. 3.5 would indicate to me that you are mostly an A, B student. So I think that's awesome. Yeah, I think 3.5 is a great GPA. This is what number is very important to colleges later on, to recruiters later on for scholarships and military. Sometimes employers ask for your GPA. This number is very, very important to a lot of people. So please protect your GPA. Do your best in every single class. And let me just say, students can do this anytime. You can always calculate your what if GPA. You can always say, well, if I made an A in this class, what would my GPA be? If I made a B, what would it be? You can predict this at any point. If you wanted to right now, you could predict what your GPA might be at the end of this semester or at the end of this school year. So you can do this anytime. Just make sure you're always dividing by the number of classes that you've taken. Now, let's say in honors drafting, you actually failed it. Let's say you got a 52. The points would be 0, and it would stay 0 for all of high school. That means that 0 is getting averaged in every single semester. And you know what a 0 does to an average. It really brings it down. So it is really, really important to do your best so that you're not, again, looking back on 9th grade or 10th grade and saying, man, I wish I would have tried just a little bit harder to protect my GPA. Okay, so an F gives you 0 GPA points. What else can affect your GPA? Attendance. I'm sure you have heard by now that if you miss more than 10 classes in any one class, you do need to complete recovery. Recovery is a series of assignments that you have to do and talk to your teacher about. And if you miss even more than that, then you have to do an online class to make up for it. The most important thing to know is if you do not complete any recovery time and you miss 11 or more classes, you will fail that class, even if you have a passing grade. So let's take it back to the PE example. Let's say you get a 95 as your final grade in PE, but you missed 16 days and you did not do any kind of recovery assignment at all. You're going to get a 59 in the class because we cannot issue you that final grade because you were not present enough. So it is very, very important if you miss more than 10 days for any reason at all, whether it's because you had COVID or you went to Disneyland. Doesn't matter. When you hit 11 days, you need to be talking to your teacher about how to make up that time to protect your grade. What do you do if you miss school? You need your parent or guardian to report your absence on the AK website. You can always email your teachers for assignments if it's going to be several days that you're out. Please always be checking the teacher websites and Canvas. Make sure you're checking your student email. And then, of course, do any makeup tests and work as soon as possible. Student attendance and graduation rates correlate very closely. If a student attends 95% of school or more, they have a 92% graduation rate. And you can see that the less you attend school, the less chance you have of graduating. So it's very important to get here every single day. Okay, on to something else. Naviance. You will hear us talk about Naviance a lot. It is an excellent college and career planning tool that we use so that you can help learn about yourself and eventually use it to work on college applications. So we kind of use it all of high school to hit all these different topics that we care very deeply about. So today we're actually going to do an activity in Naviance at the end of this lesson as well, but you're going to hear about it a lot. How do you get there? You go to the Launchpad, just like you do with any other, to get to Canvas or to any other site you might be using in class. And you click on Naviance Student in green. So you go to your Launchpad and click on Naviance Student in green, and it'll pop right up. That's the only thing you have to do. It's very, very simple to get to. Again, we'll talk more about this at the end. Okay, so thinking way down the line to college, we are very much a school that wants students to understand all of their options. You do not have to go to a four-year college. We are not pushing that by any means. However, about 75% of our students do attend a four-year college. So we like to put the information out there so that all students can be aware of what it takes to apply to and attend a four-year college. But just know that your counselors, your teachers are always willing and ready to talk about CPCC, which is a community two-year college, to talk about the military, to talk about jobs and education, trade schools, all of that. And I have another slide about that a little bit later. But for this moment, we're going to talk about the UNC system minimum requirements. You have to graduate high school to even apply to any of these colleges in the UNC system. They require a 2.6 minimum GPA. That's a minimum. That's not a checkbox. That's a minimum. They would like to see it higher. You need at least 4 math classes. 2 years of the same world language is strongly encouraged. You need to usually submit an SAT or ACT score depending on what the rules are at the time. And some may require additional essays and recommendations. So it's very important, if this is important to you, to go to a four-year college in North Carolina or otherwise, that you're trying to meet some of these requirements. We make sure that most students graduate UNC system ready, but it is also your job to be sure that you're hitting these things if that's important to you as well. Here's the other post-secondary options, like I was saying. Military, you'll see our military recruiters come to lunch very often. Always a good idea to talk to them if you're considering the military. Central Piedmont Community College is a 2-year college where you can either go for just 2 years and get a degree, or you can then transfer to a 4-year college, which many of our students do. You can go into the workforce, you can go to trade schools. We have lots and lots of information about all these things, but just know we're willing to talk about any option that you are thinking about. It's important to stay involved in high school. This is one of the biggest pieces of freshman years, to start early getting involved. This includes clubs, organizations, the performing arts, getting involved in a sport or work outside of school. Anything you're doing outside of 7:15 to 2:15 is meaningful and important. If you're interested in Ardrey Kell clubs, it's a good idea to Google Ardrey Kell ICC. Ardrey Kell ICC, you can Google that anytime. The first site that comes up will link all of the clubs on there. It's always a good idea to check it out. A lot of those clubs have a website that you can visit, or an Instagram account that shows you their next meeting. I would highly recommend checking out this site. Sports are a great way to stay involved. We have sports every single season. Here are some of them. Of course, we want you to access support when you need it. It's so important to be proactive, but be asking your teacher about tutoring if you need help. Schedule an appointment with your counselor if you feel like you need support. Using the time before school. If you ride the bus, you have 30 minutes outside of breakfast. When you finish breakfast, that you could walk around and have a conversation with your teacher if you need extra support. That's a great time to access. Join co-curricular clubs to deepen your understanding. So if you're in a marketing class, join DECA to help you understand, the class content a little bit better. Use Khan Academy and other online resources to help as well. Oh, I didn't realize this page was like this. Traits of a successful freshman: tracking your grades and assignments, getting involved, taking advantage of resources. You can manage your time well, access Naviance, and attend school daily. Every single one of these is an important trait to have as a freshman to be successful. Now we have a post test. So again, if you could access, if homeroom teachers will pause here, and you can access, it's the exact same link. You're just checking off you're doing the post test instead of the pre-test, and answer these questions. Then we'll be back for one more thing after the homeroom teacher pauses. Okay, thank you so much for completing the post test for us. That's an important way for us to collect data on students' learning and making sure that the district is aware that our 9th graders are informed and ready to go. So the last thing we're going to do is a Naviance activity that's required by CMS. So if you will open up your computer and go to the Launchpad and click on Naviance Student. Once you're there, you're going to click on Self-Discovery on the top menu, and then click Personality. So if a homeroom teacher wants to pause here while every student gets there, again, Launchpad, Naviance Student, Self-Discovery, click Personality. And then you're going to start the AchieveWorks personality quiz, assessment, however you want to think of it. Basically, it's about 10 to 15 minutes long. You're going to answer questions about your personality, so that what's going to happen is it's going to produce a lot of ideas of how you can be the most successful at school that plays to your personality. So it might come out and say, you like to talk a lot and like to be around people and engage. So it might say, you should join these types of clubs. Or it might say, hey, you're pretty athletic and you love to give back. Have you thought about joining a sports team or maybe being a coach of a younger kid sports team? So it's going to take all the pieces of your personality and give you some ideas to help you be successful in high school. This is the last thing that you're having to complete today. Again, it's only going to take about 10 to 15 minutes. It is required by CMS to finish it. So please take this time to do this activity. We will be able to see completion rates, and we do have to submit that to the district. So if you'll take the time to do that, read the information that it provides you at the end. It's all very good information that should be helpful to you as a ninth grader. Again, if you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to your counselor. We are here to help you. We are always happy to help and to support you in whatever way you need. It was great to meet you, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.